Today on the Ave Podcast, I'm joined by the co-founder of the Skills Refinement Group, O'Neil Kamaka, as we break down the Young Bulls, this year's deep rookie class. We actually discussed the last 2 years' worth of rookie classes. We discussed Scottie Barnes, the surprising Delano Banton. We share our thoughts on the Nikola Jokic, Markieff Morris fiasco. That was hilarious. And then we get into Scottie Pippen's shiny new axe that he's trying to grind on Michael Jordan's back for some reason. All right, please enjoy this Hoops Talk. Sasha Rav is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Leave your comments. And I say this every week, but seriously, I need those 5 stars if you're on Apple Podcasts. So whatever the equivalent it is, whichever platform you're listening to this podcast, we only grow bigger with the more love you show. All right, so give it. And check out SouthShirav.com for everything South Shirav related. Once again, that's SouthShirav.com. It's the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shirav Radio. The flu. Come on, Scottie.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shirav Radio.
So before we begin, O'Neil, we start talking about this year's rookie class. We're at the stage of life now where we're considered more of we're more on the old school side of things. So I know that without even asking you, I know you enjoyed that Markieff Nikola situation that really, that situation on Monday or this week that really spoke to your heart.
Yes, it did.
With that said, as far as the controversy goes regarding Morris and Joker, and this is a multiple choice style answer is only going to be the only way we're going to accept this year. Did you A, like all of it, B, love all of it, or C, did you need a cigarette and a nap after watching it?
I loved all of it. What I thought was interesting, he always was, some people like, well, he should have hit him in the back. And it's interesting how I always think about this, where people could see the same thing, experience the same thing, and just have completely different takes on it.
I know.
Because I'm looking at this like, what are people actually watching? Like, Joker was going up for a shot. Markieff comes under him, elbows him, could take him out, could hurt his knee. And before Joker could even land, Markieff already had his back walking away, right? So people are like, well, should have hit him in the back. I'm like, well, what do you think this is? Like, he's going to say, hey, Markieff, hold up, turn around, look me in the face, and then I'll punch him. Like, no, like, he reacted. The guy, he felt like the guy tried to hurt him. And he just reacted. Not like he donkey punched him in the back of the head. Not like, he just gave him a shoulder, a shoulder shimmy.
A forearm, right? Yeah. Shoulder, forearm shimmy.
Yeah, gave him a shoulder, forearm shimmy. And so I'm like, he wasn't expecting it. And so, he definitely got the whiplash. So I'm not saying that's what you should be doing, but I'm like, what did you guys expect to happen? And Markieff Morris was walking away like he was a boss. Like, you almost took the guy out and expected Joker not to do anything. So, But people are like, oh, well, I hit him from the back. Well, yeah, it's not like Markieff Morris was looking at the Joker. They're talking-ish, and then Markieff Morris turns his back to walk away.
Exactly.
And then Joker did that.
Exactly.
He took him out, and then before Joker could land, he started walking away. So of course Joker just reacted, right? Joker just reacted. So I thought the retaliation was fine. Of course, you like guys to always score up and, no blindside anybody or cheap shots. Because I've seen worse. I've seen the hold me back guys.
Yeah.
I think I would rather what Jokic did than. I remember Melo got into a fight where I can't remember when it was, but it was at the Gardens and somebody was talking trash.
Oh, and there was somebody was holding the guy back and he punched him in the face.
And then he punched him. Yeah.
I'm
like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, so at least Jokic, he didn't do one of those. He just, he reacted. He reacted the way you should react when you're leaving your feet to take a shot and a guy elbows you in your ribs And I was listening to Bill Simmons. He was talking to Jackie McMullen. He was saying that you could also, if you really slow down, you can see that Markieff also kind of hit Jokic's knee when he was in the air.
Yeah.
Right? And they brought up a good point because that's how Kawhi went down with his knee injury, because he bumped into the guy knee to the side of his knee. So yeah. I'm like, people trying to make Markieff the victim here. I'm like, yo, this guy, if he never did that to Joker, he was fine, right? Like, and Markieff did it because he thought Joker fouled and got the ball, and the rest never called it. Instead of maybe going over and slapping down a Joker's arm, Joker's shooting the ball, and he's elbowing Joker and trying to hit him from the side. Come on, man.
I mean, look, there's many ways to foul a guy, right? Like you could have wrapped him up, as you said. You could have slapped him on his arm. You could have swiped at the ball. There's a lot of things you could have did. I mean, most likely just wrapping him up would have been one. That's the easiest way to do on a fast break. Yeah. You see that all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was honestly. I mean, listen, man. I don't condone violence. I don't promote violence, but I was damn near cheering when I saw that, because and for so many reasons. Because for starters, anybody that takes an elbow, a shoulder, or a full body shot to your ribs, O'Neil, you're fighting.
Of course,
you're fighting. Like, and when something like that happens, even in a pickup run, like, you better get in the middle of that quick, because a brawl is gonna break out. You know what I mean? Exactly. And again, and even in that situation, you're not turning the guy around and saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" and then throwing a shot in his face. You're just going in. Like, if his arms weren't up and he took that shot, he would have still been mad, but I don't know if he would have been as mad as taking a shot in the ribs. You know what I mean? Like, the ribs is that's like a red flag. Like, that's like a gots to go situation once you get hit there like that. Not with that kind of force. Because I'm interpreting, like, it's one thing if you hit me and you hit me in the shoulders and like when my arms down, I go flying back. Yeah, I'm gonna take that as an insult. I'm gonna take that as an aggression, and I may want to do something about it. But if my arms are in there, as you said, and you're taking that body check to your ribs, like, that's like you're not even thinking at that point. You're ready to go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like I can't understand why everybody was. I mean, there was some people who were up in arms about that, like, with Nicola, having that reaction. But I'm like, you can't listen. You slap somebody in the face, you can't get mad at the person's reaction. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you just, like, it is what it is. Like, if I slap you in the face and you punch me back in mine, I can't be like, yo, O'Neil, why'd you punch me in my face? Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not, you can't expect the reaction, especially when you're the aggressor. You can't expect the reaction to be the same as what you did, as your action, right? Like, it doesn't match like that.
Exactly. You don't do that, and because I'm like, I was watching NBA Today, and Chinny O'Connor, or whatever her name is, was like, oh, I should have looked at him, and he did it from the back, right? And I'm like, do you guys watch the tape? The man was already once Joker was flying to the side, they already had his back turned to him walking away.
Yeah.
There's no, his brother, the idiot, was like, oh, yeah, you wait till his back is turned, huh? Wait till his back is turned. What do you mean wait till his back is turned? You shooting the ball. Your brother punched him in the ribs and walked away. What do you mean wait till his back is turned?
His back was already turned.
His back was already, they weren't talking, having a conversation. His back was already turned. Like, what are you talking about, man? So, it's these guys are jokers, man. So, relax.
And then that's the other thing too. The Morris brothers, both of them have this history of being enforcers, and we're in a different time now, because I'm not to say they wouldn't have been enforcers back in the day, but and you're Jamaican, you understand this term, "Duppy know who to frighten," right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, like, I think in that situation, and you see them do that to certain guys. Like, I remember even I think it was the bubble. I think it was in the bubble last year, and I still remember this foul he gave to Luka. I think it was Markieff, actually. No, sorry, it was Marcus. But he gave a foul to Luka. Yeah, he gave a foul to Luka where I was like, man, Luka's better than most guys, because I was expecting Luka to come out swinging. Just the way he got it. You remember that, right? the way he got taken out. And in this situation here, I just feel like part of the reason why he walked away, O'Neil, is because he figured Joker wasn't going to do nothing.
Exactly.
Which, number one, is it's a dangerous game to play when it's a big guy. You know what I mean? Because any big guy, you know, we all know this. Once a big, especially a guy that size and that height and stuff, once they flip that light switch, it's really hard to rein them in. You don't want that guy to snap. You know what I mean? I was having this conversation with some friends of mine, but I'm like, yo, he may look goofy, he may act goofy, but Joker's got some snap to him. He's got a bite back to him, and we've seen it.
Exactly.
So why would you do that to him and walk away, expect nothing to happen?
Yo, these guys think they can just punk people and get away with it. I'm like, yo, man. And I like, I'm a big Stephen A. fan, and so you're talking. He's like, yo, he's spoken, which is true. Like he's spoken to European guys and guys that are in the league, and they're like, listen, man, where we come from, bombs are dropping, eh? Like we're that's what we're dealing with. So these guys ain't afraid of nothing, right? Yeah. And which is the truth. Like these Serbian guys ain't, you don't mess with. They're not running, right? And this guy, his brothers are as big as he is, 6'8", 6'9", 2, whatever. Yeah. Come on, man, tat it out. Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
Listen, and you saw they already bought tickets to the Heat game in Miami at the end of the month, right?
Yeah, and and these guys they move deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just Serbian, the Serbian fans are going to be there. There's Serbian fans at the game, right? So it's like, yo, calm down. Like, don't let this escalate. Don't be, don't let it get worse than it needs to be. Don't be trying to be no tough guy, and you can't be a thug and play basketball at the same time. So we'll bring this to the streets. Just squash it. Your brother initiated it. Joker finished it. Move up.
Yeah. He catch the L, let it go. Let it
go.
Yeah,
you thought you were gonna punk him. He's like, no, homie, you ain't doing that. You ain't away with that. So, you know what I mean? But whatever, nothing's gonna happen. Like,
no.
They're not gonna fight Joker face to face, but they can go 2-on-1. He's like, yo, I'll get one of my brothers. We'll settle this beef. If they want to do that, let's go settle the beef. Let's go celebrity boxing match style.
And the joke is the brothers, their comments, it's hilarious because they started a Twitter account, I think like yesterday, just for this, and that I find that in itself is hilarious. And you hear the stories like they're off kilter themselves, but their comments, like, they were totally right. They're totally right. It's same thing, just to what you're saying. Like, he started it. My brother reacted, leave it there. Mm-hmm. But he's like, if you're talking about retaliation and stuff, he's like, well, we could come see you too. Like, you hear those stories of those guys, like they're a little off kilter themselves.
Exactly. Right. So, and with these, you don't know who's who. So I'm like, what I mean? These guys got money. These guys just move on, man. Just swallow your pride, move on, take an L, and move on. Because you don't want this to escalate. Because you don't know, like, my thing is, what I'm experiencing, in this world is you don't know who's who, right?
That's it.
I've seen fights happen, big, huge fights, and I've seen guys standing and watching, and you just think that they're part of the crowd.
They make a surprise appearance.
They just come out, back, take out our next, a guy jump their friend, just come out, back. I'm like, that's what I know. Like, certain guys, they wait. So, they don't, you never know what's going to happen, man. So if I'm, and you're high profile, like the Morrises, come on, man. You ain't going to take when you're out somewhere, these guys will just wait till you're out somewhere and just deal with your case. Well, you gotta act tough.
Did you see the picture of the Heat in the hallway waiting for the Nuggets to come out the locker room? I thought that was, was hilarious.
But, I don't know, I guess it was like the Clippers with Rivers. What's his name?
Oh, when they try to sneak into the locker room.
Trevor Ariza. It was something like that because apparently Butler was like, he was mad at somebody who was a former teammate that was on Denver talking trash.
Oh,
right?
That's why we was going.
Yeah, so that's why it wasn't directed because Joker was already gone at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't directed at Joker. It was directed at that teammate.
Okay, so, that makes more sense because I'm like, why is he going off on Joker like that? Like you You saw him on the court the whole time. What was that energy when he was on the floor?
Right. So it wasn't about Joker. It was about somebody else. And then, but all those guys at the locker room, like, come on.
Yeah.
You guys serious right now? Like, you guys know. You know, that's why I just say bad man move in silence, man. I'm like, yo, these guys are fake. I'm like, all you guys, what do you guys think is going to happen now? You got Larry there. You got Bam out there. You got Butler there. I'm like, man, I'm. You know what? I'm like, I think it was who was it? Was it Alonzo? When a fight was happening and he just walked away, and people were like, "Yo, he didn't jump in." He goes, "Why? This is an NBA fight. Nothing ever happens in an NBA fight. Guys just posture." And I'm like, yo, Jimmy, let's just go make a coffee, relax. You know, like you guys ain't doing nothing. You guys are like, it's all for show. What are you guys really gonna do? Like, there's security there between you. Nothing's happening. There's, NBA security. You guys do anything, you guys are suspended, 20 games, 30 games, season. You guys ain't messing up your money like that. So
nobody is. Nobody is.
Yeah. So I'm like, stop faking it, man. Just, either, just forget about it, or just, wait and then go trump the man in his face when the season's over. And you catch him, at a summer league or something. Just, when you're in Vegas, just catch him in a corner and pump him up. But you guys are going to the locker room like something was going to happen.
Which happens more often than you think.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
Okay. Yeah, make basketball players look bad. These fake tough guys. I'm like, come on, man. If you're really going to do something, you wait. You wait and then you punch the guy in his face. You guys are putting on a show, right? And a lot of times that's what it is. Guys, it's the appearance of being tough, right?
That's
like,
it.
Like there's certain guys that I know that are tough. Like Kenyon Martin, that guy, you don't mess with that guy, right? And he has like neck tattoos and stuff like that. And then there's some guys that that are not, but they'll get neck tattoos. And I'm like, you're not a tough guy. You just got a neck tattoo just to appear tough, right? But you're not a tough guy. And there's a lot of guys that they, deep down, you catch them in a one-on-one fight, they can't fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they got to put in the appearance, so they get tatted out. They get all this. They, they'll put on the front. There's a lot of pretenders, a lot of fake tough guys,
Yeah,
so, but the real ones don't say nothing. The real ones, that they're tough. That they'll knock you out. They don't have to say nothing.
Yeah, but like I said again, in the case of Morris and them, it's like you guys are big, but like I said, I mean, Joker's 7 feet, 290, whatever he is, 280 something.
And brothers.
Yeah, I mean, but even on the court, like, you don't realize how big these guys are until they snap. And then when they snap, you're like, because if you notice, nobody really rushed Joker after that happened, right? They just walked up like, hey, like Tyler Hero. Yeah. Tyler Hero was the best one because you had to look like, hey, like what are you doing? Yeah. What's going on?
Even Bam ran up. Bam ran up. Everybody ran up. They didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
They didn't do nothing.
They ran
because I saw it. I'm like, these guys just ran up, and it was like nobody did nothing to Joker. So just like, wait for somebody to come in between them, and that was that.
But that was it. Yeah. Nobody came face to face. At least, you know what I mean. Nothing. Like everybody was just coming to kind of split it up, which was nothing to split up because Morris was already laid out on the ground. So there's nothing to split up.
Yep.
There's nothing to split up at that point. But I know. Let's move this along to the rookie, this rookie class, because now
we're not gonna talk about Jordan and Pippen.
Oh man, you know what? Actually, thank you for bringing that up because I feel like Scottie Pippen needs a hug right now. I'm actually disappointed in Scottie. I'm not surprised because Scottie does have that. If you look throughout history, Scottie does have that thing about him that kind of does. Like, I'm not, put it this way, I'm not surprised by what he's doing, really and truly. I'm just more disappointed because at this stage of the game, I know he's trying to sell a book. I know there's all these things that he's trying to do, but I'm like, O'Neil, like, that documentary was last year. That video was made in 98. Because I actually rewatched The Last Dance earlier this year, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but where was the disparaging stuff about Scottie? Like, what stuff about that was falsified, or where he looked like he was being shitted on. Like, I don't remember that. And it's funny because even some of the comments that Jordan made, you know, like he was. I mean, most of the times he was bigger than him. Other than the where he sat out in the timeout, you know, when Kukoc got the shot. Pretty much everything that he said about him was pretty like enlightening. You know what I mean? Like he was like, it's the best teammate I ever had. I would have never won without him. Even the situation with his back, where the last game, he was like, he even said, he was like, yo, the guy toughed it out. He really laid it on the line for us. His back was really killing him, but like, yo, he did everything. He was a decoy, but he did everything we could ask for him. Like, I don't understand where the hatred is coming from in this case.
I do. It's on the book. It's on the book. You know, Scottie's been off. So at the end of the day, his wife left him for a reason. He's dealing with mental health. You can see the guy ain't right. He's dealing with mental health issues. But ultimately, he's selling a book. And in order to sell a book, you got to be controversial, right? I'm not buying the book, right? Because I'm just saying, it's just so blatantly obvious, right? I'm like, really, people, you're gonna run on? Are you really gonna run on and buy the book? I'm not running on and buy the book. Like I got the Black Mamba, I got a Jordan. Like I'm not running on buying Scottie Pippen's book, right? Because it's so blatantly obvious what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing in The Last Dance. It's not like you made a documentary and then you edit it so that, you know, it was filmed, you have a lot of footage and you edit it. Because also documentaries tell a story, right? But they're talking about the Bulls, everything that happened with the Bulls, right? Before Jordan, after, when Jordan retired, blah, blah, blah. Those are all facts. People know all that stuff. Like, I don't understand. Everybody knows Scottie. It's not made up. It's not like behind the scenes stuff, you know, that they put in or certain things that they could have left. Everybody knows this is what happened, right? The bad shot, and here's the thing about me and Scottie Pippen. I never liked Scottie Pippen. I always thought he was mentally weak, right? And I always thought he was mentally weak because when he had to play the Detroit Pistons, somehow he had a headache, right, or migraine. He just came up Game 7, the last game, right? Now, knowing what we know now, like I know my friend Kojo, my teammate, his brother actually played for the Raptors, past Mensa Bonsu, my teammate in college. He told me that he would get migraines. And what he realized, though, he was getting migraines when he was nervous. Or, for example, he got migraines when he was going to try for NBA workouts. Or he got migraines, like, times where he was nervous and then anxious.
Or highly stressed situations.
Yeah, he would get migraines.
I used to get them, too. I used to suffer from them, too, for a while, yeah.
But I used to hate Scottie because I knew he was mentally weak. Forget the migraines, but just other times you could see he wasn't built mentally tough. You know what I mean? And I knew what he did as far as he did everything else. Jordan did the scoring, and Scottie played the defense and ball handled and had a high IQ and was running sets and stuff like that. So he definitely understood that.
And it's not like Jordan only did the scoring. You know what I mean? Like he did everything else too. But like Scottie had more of that role. But go on.
Yeah, you appreciate it, right?
Right.
Everybody keeps referencing The Last Dance. I'm like, there's nothing in The Last Dance that was inaccurate. We're talking about the team, right? Scottie had a bad moment, but that was Scottie's fault, right? When, you know, Scottie was the one that chose not to go in the game. That's exactly what happened. When people, are not going to change it or lie. That's exactly what happened, right? So Scottie's like, Michael made me look, no, you made yourself look bad. And Scottie's blaming other people for everything he's done, right? It's somebody else's fault. And so at the end of the day, I don't know how Michael made you look bad. He was praising you, right? And I saw comments where even he was dismissing those praises, like, Jordan was, didn't mean it or whatever. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with this guy? Right?
Yeah.
And then you come to find out that when Jordan's dad died, Scottie Pippen never called Jordan and wished and gave any condolences or anything like that. Right? And this was way back.
Yeah.
Right? Well, what kind of person are you? Right? And so, I don't know. I just think, people like, well, people like, give Scottie a break. I'm like, he has a right. I'm like, sure, he's trying to sell a book, right? But people have been praising Scottie Pippen from day one. Jordan's been praising Scottie Pippen from day one. Everybody knows what Jordan did. I'm a Jordan fan. I know that Jordan couldn't win. You can't win rings by yourself because Jordan never won. Jordan never won when he was by himself. He won with Scottie Pippen. You need another player to win. And everybody's acknowledged that. So I don't understand why Scottie's like he feels underappreciated. Right? And that's why I think, again, he's saying all this stuff because he has to sell the book.
Well, yeah,
right?
I know one of his comments, because I don't know if you saw the interview he did with Michael Strahan for Good Morning America, but I think one of the things he said is like, I think the last question that Strahan asked him is, how do you want to be remembered? And he was like, I want to be remembered as the GOAT. And I'm just like, Scottie, nope.
He's the GOAT.
Scottie.
GOAT of what?
It's like, come on, Scottie. They're selling a book, and then it's like, okay, now you're just talking stripping this now.
Yeah, now you're delusional.
Like seriously, now it's like, okay, Scottie, you weren't like, again, we grew up to that era. We saw everything. We saw all that stuff. Like, you were never the best player in basketball at any point in time, ever. Even when Jordan was gone, you weren't the best basketball player. Like, you were great. You were great. Yeah. I will never take that away from him. He was a great player. But
how long was Scottie Pippen's career?
Like 15, 16 years. Like, I mean, but he was never the same after he left Chicago, because when he went, I think he went to Houston that 1 year. Then he played on Portland. Scottie
Pippen played in the NBA for 17 years.
17 years, right? 17 years.
But you know what people highlight? You know what people highlight in the 17 years? Oh, but what happened when Michael Jordan was gone that one? As soon as Jordan left, they went 55 games. I'm like, yeah. And what happened after that? What happened the following year? Because remember, Jordan was gone for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Jordan came back, and what was their record when Jordan came back?
Well, what you remember was Scottie wearing Jordan shoes, raising his soul to the camera, and begging Jordan to come back.
No, forget all that. What was their? Because people talk about that. You want to bring up? Well, they won 55 games. That was one season.
And that was a great team effort. It was a great team effort.
Yeah. But what happened after that? What happened? What was the record? The record was shit. That a shitty record after that. Right?
Yeah, I think they were like just above 500 or something like that.
Exactly. Right, just above 500. Okay, what did Scottie Pippen do when he went to other teams?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the point I was gonna. Well, the point I was gonna mention was Portland, right? Because
nobody talks about that. So they talk about, in a 17-year career, they talk about one thing. Without Jordan, the 55-game win. That's it. Dick Ron, right? He's trying to talk about, he took the Portland Trailblazers to Game 7 and almost won. So he brought up, what did he bring up? He brought up Jordan's stuff before and after. Like, okay, great. Didn't talk about Scottie Pippen. Briefly talked about the 55 game that they won and the Portland. Two things. That was it. How long was Scottie Pippen without Jordan after? How long did Scottie Pippen play with Jordan for? What?
11
how many years?
11 years.
11 years? So what did he do in the other 6 years? He was in the league for 17 years.
Well, here's the thing, O'Neil. The thing the reason why I want to say Portland was because, like, if you remember, Portland was like, that team was a great team, but it was an ensemble cast, right?
Exactly.
Part of the reason why they lost to the Lakers in that Game 7 is because they had nobody to close that game. Now, here's a guy that's been in that situation hundreds of times. I mean, he was a number 2 guy, obviously, but here's a guy that's been in that situation hundreds of times, way more than anybody else on that team, and he basically folded like everybody else folded.
Exactly. So that's why when these guys like Dick Ron is always trying to argue, I'm like, and then if they were talking to Antoine Walker, I'm like, why are you talking to this idiot? This guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. Like, why do you bring up those points? I'm like, these guys, are you kidding me right now? Like,
you talking about Nick? You talking about Nick Wright? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Dick Ron. I call him Dick Ron. Right? So I'm like, this guy, what's this guy talking about? Like, put me in front of this guy. I'm like, are you serious right now? That's what you want to talk about? That's a fact. Well, here's the fact. The fact is, when Scottie Pippen was by himself, did absolutely nothing. Just like you said, when he was in Portland, the stacked team, he never showed up. If you want to talk about facts, there's a lot of playoff games where Scottie Pippen, even in the 93, what did Scottie Pippen average in the playoffs when he was with Jordan? The rest of the team scored 9 points. I remember in the fourth quarter, the closeout game, 9 points.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the team scored 9 points. Come on, man. What are you guys talking to me about right now? You want to highlight the few good things in the 17 years, the few good things, and that means he deserved a couple? You go from year to year up until Jordan came back. Even with the Wizards, people, if you break down Jordan's years with the Wizards at age 39 and 40, or 38, 39, 40, whatever it was, Jordan was putting up numbers. And the Wizards were on pace to make the playoffs once Jordan was on that team, because the year before they sucked. And the only reason why they never did was because Jordan, obviously being old, they had knee problems. And once Jordan was out of the lineup, they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I try to forget those Wizard years, to be honest with you. But
I don't think about it, but people always, Jordan was a shell of himself, but at the age that he was, Jordan was still putting in work.
He was still nice. He was still nice.
Yeah, he was still carrying the Wizards. He wasn't day in and day out Jordan, but he did enough, right? But if you look at Jordan's career, let's say before, minus the Wizards, you go year by year where Jordan was just unfreaking believable. You can't do that with Scottie Pippen. You can't. You have moments with Scottie Pippen. So I don't want to hear that he's great, because you have moments.
Well, O'Neil, it's
a moment here, a moment there.
I disagree. I think you can say he's great, but he was great for what his role was. He was great.
Well, when I say great, I'm talking the GOAT. He's not the GOAT.
Like when he said that, I was just like, come on. Like, it was almost like, it's almost like a family member when they do something stupid, and he just like, come on, come on, dude. Like you're embarrassing my name. We got the same last name. You're embarrassing it now. That's how I felt when I read that comment. I'm like, why? Like, Scottie, like, nobody's gonna believe you. Like, nobody. Like, we saw this. Like, no, who's believing you when you say you want to be remembered as a GOAT? Like, even Michael Strahan was probably like, come. Like, even he was probably like, come on, Scottie. Like, Jesus.
He's trying to sell books.
No, but
stir controversy. He's trying to sell books, man.
Yeah,
he's trying to sell books.
But I want to take it back a little further though, because you were saying like, and I don't play with this, but let's like the whole mental health aspect of it. Clearly, something's going on with him. He's not happy because you're saying book, but last year he was selling what was he selling? It was like a brandy or a bourbon. No, he was selling a bourbon. He was selling bourbon. I think it's called Digits. He was selling a bourbon last year, and he was going through that whole gauntlet of like going through the whole media run to try to sell his alcohol. And he was on the same shit last year. Because you remember, he was making the comments that like Phil Jackson was racist, all this stuff. And I mean, mind you, who knows, like everybody's got their story. But at the same time, I was like, I just didn't, and who knows, right? But I'm just like, I just don't see a happy dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Here's my other theory as well, because I'm like, he's probably you've heard rumors. There's rumors been out there that he's broke, right? That guy doesn't have any money,
right?
So he has to sell books. He has to sell bourbon. He has to do whatever it takes to make that money, right? We see people, do worse, right? When it comes to money, people compromise themselves. He's like, screw it. He can always apologize later, right? He'll say stuff now, sell his books, and then apologize later, right? So, I've heard, you've heard those rumors out there that Scottie Pippen's broke. He's done, he's bankrupt, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Probably his ex-wife is taking him for money. When I walk around with that young baller in the mall and stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, that's what jumps out to me. That's what I'm reading between the tea leaves. I'm like, when you hear all the rumors that he was broke, he needs money, and then all of a sudden he says this stuff, trying to be controversial, right? So people go and buy his book. I ain't buying it. I'll tell you that from now. I'm not buying his book. I'm that. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm not buying Scottie Pippen's book. And that's it's just blatant. That's what he's blatantly trying to do, right? Because again, all I know is when I didn't like Scottie Pippen, a lot of people were giving him credit. And then I eventually came and warmed up. I was like, you know what? Yeah. Scottie Pippen was a bad man. He played defense, picking up guys full court, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know anybody who never acknowledged Scottie Pippen. People are acknowledging Scottie Pippen from day one.
Yeah.
From day one. I don't know anybody who wasn't acknowledging Scottie Pippen. So I don't know what these people are talking about.
Let's keep it real, O'Neil. Like, not to cut you off, but let's keep it real. When it comes to Scottie, listen, Scottie's the top 50, top 75, Hall of Fame, Dream Teamer, all the accolades. He deserves all of it. But would he have achieved all those accolades if he didn't go to Chicago? I say
Exactly.
I always believe no. I believe he would have been a good player, but I don't know if he would have reached those levels. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could be wrong, but I think Jordan, he helped build that character too, right? He was an a-hole a lot of times, and I mean, I don't think they shied away from that in the documentary either. But at the same time, it's like it helped build Scottie. Like by
it made him tough.
Yeah.
When he was with Jordan, he became tough.
Yeah. Because a couple of years later, when they after that Detroit series, when they ran into the Knicks, he wasn't backing down from Oakley and all those guys, and you know what I mean.
Exactly.
It made a huge difference. But we saw that we was there. We watched all of that. You know what I mean? So it's like to see him doing this now. It's like I know. I understand you're trying to sell product, but you're looking worse. Like it isn't.
Well, I think the people who were, like you said, are there. It's looking worse, but people who weren't, right? And there's going to be people out there who are going to want to buy the book, right? Mm-hmm. And drive up the man, and people are like, oh, let's go see what else is in the book. I'm like, fuck that.
like I can't knock him. Like, do what you got to do, but to me, you're just looking like an ass right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the greatest of all time. I want to remember that. Greatest of what? What's your body of work? What was your body of work when you were without Jordan? What did you do in the playoff games? Because we can really start going through game by game. We can really start taking apart what you did and when you did it, right? What you did with Jordan, what you did without Jordan. Like we can really break that down and see where your GOAT status is, right? So, right, you might be, if you want to argue, the greatest. I can't even say two-way because two-way means you have to be putting up big numbers. Right?
Yeah. Like
to me, two-way means you have to be averaging at least 25 or more. I didn't think Scottie Pippen was that guy.
Yeah, like defensively again, and it's not to sit here and break down the guy. There's no need to really break down his career. And again, he's a Hall of Famer. He was great. Defensively, he was a menace, and he was very versatile offensively. Like I remember the job he did on my man Magic in the '91 finals, we picking him up full court. Like I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? He broke my dream down because I wanted to see the Lakers win the title at that time. I was a Magic guy, right? So, I you don't have to tell me his accolades.
No, but what I'm saying is when you get the GOAT debate, you start dissecting why this guy's better than this guy. You start breaking it down. Like,
oh yeah, there's levels to it for sure.
You start breaking down scoring. You start breaking down series. You start breaking down this and that. You really start. Going. That's what I mean. Like, if Scottie Pippen wants to say, like, again, we know what he did, but if you, like, we're glossing over, to be GOAT, you have to be, you have to have the resume to prove it, right?
Yeah.
So 6 championships, 9, all first defense. That's really good, right? But what about scoring, right? Getting the GOAT status. What's your scoring like? How many teams did you carry to the finals, right? Or win by yourself? Right.
Well,
or not even by yourself. Sorry, not by yourself. But how many teams did you, when you're supposed to be the man on the team? How many teams did you take to the finals? Did you lead to the finals? Right. So that's where you start going into when you start looking at the GOAT status. You start looking at stuff like that. Where you transcend a player. Did you change franchises? Because when you went to Portland and Houston, you didn't win. You weren't able to get the team to win. So how do you go to GOAT status, right? If you go to the GOAT status, right? You're looking at that. For me, that's GOAT status. That's GOAT status. When were you the man on the team? Were you the alpha? Were you the main guy? And did you bring your team to the promised land and win? And if you didn't do that, you're not in the GOAT debate, right? You're not in the GOAT debate if you didn't do that. Look at all the players that are in the GOAT debate. You go from if you look at your top 10 guys, they're all the man on their team. And they all brought the team to the championship. You want to go down the list? We have Jordan. We have Kobe. We have Kareem.
Shaq.
We have Shaq. We have Wilt. We have Magic. We have Bird. Right?
Hakeem,
who else we got in there?
Tim Duncan.
You got LeBron. You got Tim Duncan.
Hakeem.
Right? Those guys. Hakeem. Exactly. So those guys are a GOAT. They were the man on the team. They brought the team to a championship. Right? When did you bring a team to a championship? So you're not the GOAT. When you start talking about the GOAT, you start dissecting everything. How you lead a team, how you play in the playoffs when things are on the line. How do you step up? How do you, will your team to win? And Scottie Pippen falls short. He falls not even anywhere close. So, again, he's trying to sell books. Calm down, homie. We know what you're trying to do, but, you don't need to, disparage and try to take people down when in order to do that.
Well, I think at the end of the day, too, I don't even think Scottie believes that. He doesn't believe that, number one. And then number two, even if you wanted to even have that discussion, like, I wish we could see footage of, like, the practices and stuff, but the stories you would hear about their practices, like the time that Pippen would actually challenge Jordan, it was like he had to just be like, all right, I'm sorry. By the time they were done, it was like, all right, I'm sorry. And then number three, and this is like the biggest non-starter in all of this, he won 6 titles. Who was the MVP of all of those 6 titles? His name was on none of those trophies. Like, that alone, like stop it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Let's move on to the rookie class. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. But
no problem.
But we've seen this rookie class so far. I mean, it's early, but this is a strong rookie class so far in terms of, like, just readiness. You can even say the same for last year as well. So for you as somebody that's coaching younger players and in the AAU circuits, what's your theory as to why these guys seem more ready than ever before when they get to the league?
I think these guys are just paying attention to what's happening. I think they're paying attention to what guys are doing, that are coming in before them. I think it's just cyclical. I think that's sometimes how it goes, right? You just have, certain draft classes that come in. You have, you have good draft classes, and some draft classes you don't, right? And I just think when guys pay attention to what's going on, they're seeing what's happening, and it could be also the people that they're getting around them and the people that they're keeping around them are giving them right information, right instruction, right, and then the development too, right? The NBA, they're always looking for ways to be better, to help the players and to be successful. So I think that has something to do with it. I think that has something to do with it. But I just think it's cyclical. I just think we're just seeing just a good group of rookies, a good group of players. I don't think you look at the one before. Was it that great? Really? What was the one before? Was that the Ja? The one with Ja Morant?
We talking about the draft class a couple years ago, right? With RJ,
and
Zion, yeah.
So it's like, it's cyclical, right? You have that draft class. How many guys that are bangers? You have Ja's playing well. RJ's playing well. Zion, he looks like, what does Chuck say? He looks like him and Shaq had a baby. This guy's always hurt. And then who else is in that rookie class, right? Can you name anybody else in that rookie class? I'm trying to remember.
Well, I'm talking about the last couple of years more so, but
I know. No, but my point is, like, if you look at that rookie class, it's not that great, but the last couple of years has been great, right?
Yeah,
and so,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna get, right? You're gonna have some guys who get it and are good and or locked in, and then you have some guys who don't. Maybe you have some guys who feeling themselves too much.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys who exhale once they get to the league, and you can't excel when you get to the league. You have to, you got to keep working hard.
You got to
right?
grind.
You might excel.
You got to grind.
You got to grind. You got to grind until you get to your second contract, right? And most guys excel before they get caught up in all the great things that come with being in the NBA, right? So, I just think it's a lot of different things, but it's great to see. But I definitely think it's just a lot of different things.
Yeah,
and it comes down to the players.
And it seems like every generation, there's always like an influx of talent that just comes through that kind of revives the league a bit, right? So, and I think we're kind of seeing that now. You know what I mean? Like for this generation, because you're hearing like the next couple of drafts too is like the talent is coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not. So I think we're like in the midst of it right now. Like I think over the next few years, you're going to see a lot of younger players coming, and they're going to be like. You're going to kind of be like, like shocked as to what you're seeing kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so I agree with that. And I think some of it is, like as you said, like it's over the years, the personalized training, all the AAU tournaments, all the big games, like you've been in so much pressurized situations that, you know, you don't feel that same pressure, you know, by the time you get to the pros. And then sometimes some of these guys, you know, they're training with some of these pro guys. You know what I mean? So it's the shock value of it isn't the same, right? Like when
I know that's always happened. I know that even 20 years ago when I graduated, before that, you always heard about, you know, I think one of the things why the guys in the States were always ahead of most people is because they're already, you know, they're playing with NBA guys at an early age, right?
Right.
And that does a lot for your confidence, right? That does a lot for your confidence. And so, you know, I think that part of it has always happened. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's a lot of different things, man. And like you said, you know, every generation you have just some good group of kids coming in, and they just pan out, right? And they just pan out. Like, you know, the NBA, you definitely got to be skilled, right? You got to be skilled to be in the NBA. And so the guys that are skilled, they find a niche, you know, that I'm going to be a defender, I'm going to be a rebounder, and then they find a place to stay, right? So, or find a team to be able to play on and stay. So, you know, I like the rookie class. Obviously, you know, it's good when you have, you know, a lot of the rookies playing well. You know, so I know, especially the GMs, right? And the scouts, they feel good, you know, when they hit on a pick and the pick works out. You know, kind of, you know, justifies that, you know, they know what they're doing and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's a good rookie class. To see who the rookie of the year is.
I don't know about you, but I find like this season so far to be like, I don't know, I've really enjoyed the season so far. Like even some of the shittier teams and the shittier games they're at least worth watching just because some of the talent that's on there. Like even case in point, like as we're recording tonight, you know, Detroit and Houston played, so we got a chance to see the number 1 and number 2 picks of the draft for this year, you know, in Cade and Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. And that game, it wasn't the greatest game to watch. Let's be clear. It was very shaky. You know, I'm surprised it was even on ESPN, to be honest with you, but I still kind of watched the talent.
The 2 of the top picks, right? Yeah, 2 of the top picks in the draft.
No,
right?
for sure. So, but what I'm saying is that the game was a shaky game, but you still wanted to watch, just do it just in the number 1 and 2 picks, but then plus the other talent that each of these teams have, like the younger talent they have on their bench. Like even like a team like Detroit, like they got some nice young talent, plus the 3 Canadians, of course, but you know, but we just know both teams aren't ready yet, but like you can see the pieces are there. There's some foundational pieces that are already there.
Wait, who's the other Canadian? I know there's Corey, I know there's Kelly, and who else?
Do you want to count Trey Lyles? Does he count?
Oh, Trey Lyles, that's right. Of course, he's from Saskatchewan. I forgot he's on the team.
Yeah. I don't know how much he acknowledges us, but yeah, you know. But the fact that they got 3, you know, so for somebody like us, like yeah, it's a little, you know, you may want to watch Detroit a little bit more because of that, just to support. But really and truly, it's a shitty team like Detroit's got some talent. You know, they got some talent where you're like, damn, like yo, Jeremy Grant, like this. I mean, this game he had like 30-something points. He had a 19-point third quarter. You know, in this game, and so it's like, you know, he's fresh off an Olympic experience. He's year 2, and you know, it doesn't seem like the season he had last year was fluky, right? So like, there's talent like Christian Wood, a guy that was also balling, you know, on Houston's side. Like they got there's some talent on both sides. So like I said, the influx of talent has come in. Like even like 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't have watched a game like this. Seriously, I wouldn't even have watched a game like this. I would have definitely changed the channel. But this time I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me at least watch a quarter. Let me see how Jalen's doing. Let me see how Kevin Porter Jr. is doing. Let me see how Cade is looking. He's rounding into shape right now, right?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite rookies to watch right now?
Delano Banton and Scottie Barnes.
That was going to be my last question I had for you. But you could talk. You could wax poetic about him. You could talk about him. Go ahead.
No, it's not because, obviously, living here in Toronto. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Raptors fan. Obviously, you know, they're the home team. You watch them.
Right.
You know, my team, you know, is the Spurs and then Golden State in that order, and then the Raptors, right? But I've been a Golden State fan since '99.
Okay.
And you know,
why '99?
I mean, I've been a Spurs fan since '99 and a Golden State because I went to school in the Bay Area, right?
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
I went to school 5 minutes from where your nephew's at right now. So
Right.
I became a Golden State Warriors fan, and I just like the Spurs, Popovich. Needless to say, I just love Scottie Barnes. I love his youthful energy, the enthusiasm that he plays with, the love that he has, the joy that he plays with. He plays hard. He competes. He's happy. He doesn't come across like some of these guys come across cool. They got an image to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He just plays. He's goofy. He's having fun. Like he recognizes that, I'm getting paid. I'm a professional basketball player. My dream has come true. And he's just so happy. You can see that he's just happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And Delano, because I'm biased with Delano because I coached him briefly, and so you always happy for when you coach a kid and they get to the highest level like this. And it was brief. It was brief. I coached him for maybe a month or two.
Yeah.
And but just the kind of kid he is and just the way he plays too. Like at 6'9", like he's so unselfish.
Yeah.
Right? And you love those players. Like I don't understand how people not like when you build a team, you go for like give me 2 to 3 gunners, right? Like just black holes, and then everybody else is just role players and guys like Delano, right? Like who's just gonna pass the ball and rebounders. Give me guys who's just gonna play defense and rebound, right? And everybody wants to stack their team with all these gunners. I'm like, it doesn't work when you have all these gunners. You just need 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Really, because if one gets hurt, you still have 2 guys that will, there's not a lot of pressure on a guy to bring it every night because not a lot of guys are built like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you love somebody like Delano because he just wants to pass the ball. Delano doesn't look as he's a 6'9" unselfish guard. He just wants to pass the ball, get guys involved. He makes tries to make the right basketball play. He plays defense. He rebounds. Plays with a lot of energy. So those are my favorite. I'm not, like I look at Jalen Green. I'm like, that guy to me, he reminds me of Jordan Clarkson. He's going to be a 6-man in a few years. He's going to be a 6-man because he just guns. The ball hits his hand and he guns. And guys like that, you bring them off the bench, right? They'll give you scoring off the bench.
So you think his ceiling? You think his ceiling is limited for Jalen Green? Really?
No, it's not a matter of limited. It's not a matter of I don't know if you call that limited, but Jordan Clarkson he can score. Lou Williams can score.
Yeah, for sure.
But these are guys you bring off the bench because you need scoring off the bench because now they're not going to pass the ball. They need to get their usage rate needs to be high, right? And so because their usage rate needs to be high, you bring them off the bench. Jalen Green, he's going to be coming off the bench because it touches his hand, he's just jacking up shots. You're not winning with that guy, right? And I don't think he's going to get to that status, right? I don't think so. I don't see anything. Sometimes, the thing about sports, though, sometimes that switch, you flip that switch and, you get an epiphany and then you become that guy. But I see him right now. I see him as he's going to be a great version of, he's going to be another like Jordan Clarkson, just, could score. You bring him off the bench and he's going to give you buckets. Right, he's just going to flat out score. He's going to be a dangerous scorer, because he's just going to have the green light to jack, and he's going to have the ultimate confidence.
Right.
That's how I see him. Cade Cunningham definitely could be special because of his temperament, and that's what it comes down to: the temperament.
Yeah. Right,
and their feel for the game, and
which Cade I was impressed by. I was impressed by watching that tonight with him. To be honest with you.
Yeah, his temperament, the way he plays the game, So I remember Josh Hemmings, who's at Harvard now, telling me about Cade. He's like, I remember when, they're about the same age, like when Cade was in, grade 9, playing against someone else at Oak Hill. He was always the same way. He was just calm. He was just calm and relaxed, and he was never sped up. So he's always had that temperament, right? And, Mobley's nice. Mobley, I didn't realize how good he was. Sometimes, you forget when you see guys in college, you're like, he's long and blah, blah, blah. But, he has a good motor and he has a good feel for the game. He's playing with real confidence offensively and defensively. So you like Mobley. And then you got Mitchell.
Yeah, Davion
You got
Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell. So yeah, I like the rookies. I think they're gonna do well. I think Scottie Barnes. I think the Raptors. He's been a great franchise because Raptors are patient. They're not like everybody else where they give up on their rookies quick, right? I think he's gonna work on his shot mechanic. It's really shot, and it's just really fine tuning with somebody like Scottie Barnes, even Delano, right? It's just simple adjustments, right? Just simple adjustments in their shot. Tweaking their mechanics a little bit. Nothing major. It's not like Lonzo Ball where it's like a major overhaul, right?
Right.
Really reconstructing the shot. For them, it's just minor tweaks here and there. But so once that jumper is falling, Barnes is gonna be special, man. And he likes to work. He loves to work. He has that work ethic. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's why I just love watching them. Whenever Raptors game is on now, I'm rushing to the TV. I just want to watch Scottie and Delano play. I just love watching Scottie play, Scottie Barnes play. I love watching Delano play. Delano pushes the pace. So those are my two favorite rookies, and those are who I like to watch right now when they play.
What the thing with Delano that like I think is really cool to see is obviously like you're watching a local kid make good and make the league, but the pressure of playing and performing, because I always have this theory of like I don't like my younger players starting off their NBA career in the same place they grew up in. I just think it's just a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of pressure to deal with that. And distractions, right? But he seems like right now, so far, like he's got his head on his shoulders. The projection was this kid was going to play a little bit in the league and then, ended up like starring on the G League team and all that stuff. And who knows, that might happen, but I don't even think it will because honestly speaking, the way he's played right now, like there's no way I would set him to the 905. There's no way. I would keep him right where he's at. He's developing at a rapid pace.
There's absolutely no reason to set him down there.
No, not at all.
He's a 6'9" point guard who's unselfish. He's completely, and he's running the offense. He's trying to get guys involved. He looks for OG. He looks for Van Fleet. He looks for Trent Jr. He looks for the scorers.
He plays D.
He plays defense. He rebounds. He's long and deceptive, and he pushes the pace, which is what Nick Nurse wants. Why would you send him down to the G League?
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. Not at all.
I wouldn't. You know who else send down to the G League? Your boy Ute Watanabe. Send him down to the G League.
Who? Sorry? Who would you
Japanese,
say? Oh,
Japanese
Utah?
guy. What's his name? Yeah.
He says my boy.
Like people are like, oh, Pascal Siakam's out and Utah Watanabe. I'm like, what the fuck does this guy do? What does he do? What does Watanabe do? What does he do wrong?
Well, he's probably
not a point guard.
He's probably Utah's probably going to play in the G League. He's going to play with the 905, and he's going to play with your boy Flynn.
He's not a point guard, so he's not. He didn't play the point. What does he do? What does he do? Is he a 3-and-D specialist? What exactly does he do? I know he plays hard. That's what I know. I know he does bring that energy. I know he runs around and he plays hard, but what exactly does he do wrong? So let me know that. Because I'm trying to figure out, because people are excited about him. Like, oh, but when they get back Ute, Watanabe, and Pascal, it'll be a different team. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pascal, I understand. But, Watanabe, sure, he's a nice kid. He plays hard. But what is, like, I know Delano's a point guard. He's going to drop some dime passes. He's pushing the ball. He's a big guard. It's hard to,
Is he really 6'9" now, though? Is he really that tall?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 6'9", long.
Wow.
Fast. Right? So you have a 6'9" point guard that pushes the ball, run the pace. Like, push the pace. So, I don't know. But anyways, so, he's going to play. There's no way he doesn't play. I like Flynn.
Yeah, he's nice, too. He can play. But it's just that you can see there's not room for him now.
No, you got to find room for him because Fred Van Fleet's working too hard to score, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's working way too hard to score. Like, way too hard to score. And, he's already undersized, and he's working so hard to score.
Yeah.
So when Flynn comes in, he's a bit taller and, he knows how to play. So you got to figure out how to get that guy in the lineup. You got to make some adjustments, get that guy in the lineup.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he is good. Like I won't knock him. Like the kid can play too, but I just don't know if like right now the way Delano's playing. Like I don't know if he's like I don't know if he's gonna want to play. Like be the third point guard and have those type of minutes. Like I think he wants to be like the backup. So I don't know. Like this, I wonder how long he's gonna be able to stay in Toronto, or is he gonna get his shine somewhere else? But I agree. Like I think like that kid can play. That like when he gets extended minutes on the floor, like he's doing stuff with it. This is not a situation where it's being wasted. But I guess to kind of answer my question too, my two favorite rookies right now is Barnes. I agree with you with there, and then Mobley. Part of it is because I watched a good amount of USC games because, as you said, my nephew being in Cal in the Pac-12, like watching some of those games and staying up late. I had a chance to watch at least a decent amount of his games, and I really liked what I saw from him last year. Because to me, I was always like, he's a more aggressive. He's a like I had him pegged as like a Chris Bosh,
exactly,
like an aggressive Chris Bosh.
Yeah, he looks kind of like Chris Bosh too, right? They're kind of build and
but more aggressive,
Yeah, and he's longer. Like Chris Bosh was like 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah, 6'10".
Mobley's a legit 7-footer.
Yeah, and he's long. Like he doesn't look like he doesn't look he has a 7-foot wingspan. His wingspan looks like it's like 7'5", 7'6".
Yeah.
Like he just looks really supremely long. But the guy's got a lot of skill. I love his feet. He's got great hands. And he's just so skilled on top of that too. Like I'm not totally surprised by what he's doing, but the game looks easier to like than I thought it was going to be for him. You know what I mean? Like because he's got a great IQ too on both ends of the floor. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's one of those guys that like, he's fearless, like especially defensively. Like I honestly like watching him play right now. I know it's really early. But I can see him winning like a defensive player of the year in his career at some point. Like within about, I would say, and I would say within about 4 years, I can see him being all defensive team, 100%. Like he's kind of changed. He's kind of changed Cleveland's team. Like especially between him and Allen defensively, like they've kind of changed Cleveland's makeup now. You know what I mean? Where you can't really mess with Cleveland the same way. They're not the pushovers that you thought they were.
No.
But
they need to get rid of one of those two guys. Sexton or Garland. They need to get rid of two guys.
Between him and Allen? Well, they got too many bigs. I agree with that. But I
they got too many guards too. They got Sexton, they got Garland, they got Ricky Rubio, and they brought in Kevin Pangos. How many guards do you need?
Yeah, like smallish point guards.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that Cleveland was doing that. Is racking up the assets like for good trade value. You trade a couple of bigs, you trade a couple. You get rid of Sexton or Garland, right? You keep Rubio or trade Rubio, whatever. Keep use Pangos in the trade or something. But they have too many bigs and they have too many point guards. You don't need 4 point guards.
Yeah,
right.
And I like Okoro too. Like I like Isaac Okoro too. They got to find a little more time for him. But I think like that to me, it didn't make sense when they grabbed Markkanen. I guess the same thing as the asset building, but I'm kind of like, you got 3 guys that are 7 feet tall. Why do you need these 3 guys? Like I figure like one of them is not going to fit well, and I feel like at some point that's going to be Markkanen, especially when Mobley gets better. Which is like it seems like that's rapidly happening. Like I think Markkanen is going to get pushed out, even though he's a good player too. But I feel like he's going to kind of get pushed out.
You think so? What about your boy Kevin Love, brother Love?
Who's buying his contract if they're not going to buy? So who's trading for his contract if they're not going to buy him out?
There's always that dumb GM.
I guess, but I guess, but 30 mil is and I think it's more than 30 mil now. Like who's trading for that? I don't they're gonna have to, and he doesn't want to have a buyout, so it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. But I don't know. Excuse me, I don't know where that's gonna go with when it comes to Love. I have no idea where that's going to go with that. But, I mean, at least he's playing better. He's coming off the bench, for what that's worth, But, like I said, again, like he would be good coming off the bench on a contending team. But, it's again, what, like, unless he's getting bought out and you're giving him a vet minimum, what contenders setting $30 million worth of contracts that way to get Kevin Love at this stage of his career? If you can throw him back in like the DeLorean and send him back to 2014 and get that version back, then of course everybody would do it, but nobody has a DeLorean, right? This ain't Back to the Future. So, and then I was gonna say with just to touch on what you're saying with Scottie Barnes, like I think I've mentioned this before. I didn't see him play at all in college. I think you were one of the first people to tell me about him, right? Like in terms of like, especially when he got drafted, right? And like, you know, I really wanted the Raptors to get Mobley. You know, I was pretty sure that we weren't going to get him once the Raptors fell to the 4th pick. You know, and then all the mock drafts are kind of saying the same thing, and they're right about the top 3. But at the same time, you know, that's why mock drafts are what they are, right? They're mock drafts. Because if you listen to the mock drafts, we all would have believed that Jalen Suggs was going to fall to us. And if you ask any Raptors fan right now, would you rather have Barnes or would you rather have Jalen Suggs? Everybody would run you out the room.
Exactly.
You know?
But even mock drafts, they never had Josh Primo going number 12 to
right.
San Antonio.
Right, like they never had Franz Wagner. You know, like that kid is balling right now too. Like over in Orlando, which I was like, I saw him play in Michigan. He's better than what I projected coming, and you just don't know with some of these guys, right? But again, it's to touch on what I was saying before. This influx of talent is now it's coming through the league now, where it's like even those teams which you wouldn't watch. Now you're like, yeah, let me watch 5 minutes and see how Orlando's doing. Let me watch Detroit for like a half hour. Let me watch, XYZ. Like, like you're watching it happen. Like it's crazy. But yeah, like I said, Scottie, man, like, man, I love his energy. I love his compassion. And it really, when you look at that, like between those two things and his fearlessness, it literally feeds into everything he does. Like, that whole thing of you rather have a guy that you gotta scale back than a guy that you gotta pump full of passion. Like to me, he's like the best example of that. Like he's a wide-eyed kid, and like he just, you can see the innocence. Like he just wants to own the world. You know what I mean? Like he just wants it all. Like, and I love it, man. Like he's ready to guard the best players. Like against Brooklyn, he's guarding Harden full court. Like he's not backing down. He ripped KD's pocket in that game. It's like he's ready for he wants it all now. Like it's refreshing to see, honestly, in this day and age, especially with this Raptors team, that attitude that he's got. Like it's really refreshing to see him play. Like he's one of my favorite rookies to watch right now, hands down, him and Mobley. And I really thought like he was going to be like a good foundational piece. And now I'm like, shit, we got to upgrade that now.
Yep.
We got to upgrade that now. I don't know where this is going to go, but like I think you got to remove the ceiling now. Just based on his energy. He's such a hard worker. You don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah, I totally agree. When the Raptors are on, I'm not going to lie, there's certain games I'll watch, certain games I'm like, who are we playing, blah, blah, blah. I don't care who we're playing. Whoever is the worst team in the league, we could be playing them. I just want to see Scottie Barnes play and Delano play.
Yeah.
I watched the Raptors just to see those two guys play. I just love the way Scottie Barnes plays that game of basketball. I just want to watch him play. Like, I just get joy out of watching those two guys play. I don't care about the scoring. Like, I know I got Steph for that. I was turned on Steph. Clay's coming back. So I'm going to get my scoring from those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? KD, my guys, Luka, guys that I like watching, the way they score the ball. When I want to see that, I'll just put on a Golden State game and sit back and just laugh at Steph, just lighting guys up, or Dame. But,
what he did to Atlanta the other day was not right. That wasn't right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just watching Scottie, though, like I'm so excited. I'm really looking forward to Raptors games. Like, when's the Raptors on? Okay. Watch Scottie Barnes. Just watch this kid play and just run around. When he wasn't playing those couple of the games that he was hurt, I was like, yeah. But I still watched because I wanted to see Delano play. So I was excited to see Delano play as well. But yeah, I'm a big Scottie Barnes fan. Big fan of Scottie Barnes.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because this is the power of Masai. again, right? Like this is why you didn't want Masai to leave. This is why I think lots of basketball fans and Raptors fans were celebrating when he re-upped with the Raptors, because like this is this value. That it was a shocking thing of Barnes being selected over Suggs, right? And then you hear the behind the scenes story, like about Suggs kind of basically tanking his workout with the Raptors and stuff, and if he's willing to do that, you don't want him here anyway, right? But
I was thinking about guys like that. You never hear that from somebody like Kobe or Jordan or KD, like true basketball players. Because it doesn't matter where they go, they're going to make that situation the best situation possible.
Right.
Because that's how much they believe in themselves. That says a lot about players when they're like, I don't want to go to Toronto, or I don't want to go here. Right? It's like when you think you're the best thing in the world, it doesn't matter where you go. Right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, things are going to work out. Right? They're going to build around. You know what I mean? Like you just know you're gonna dominate. You're gonna run things, and the franchise will build around you. And I don't even know how you not want to play for Toronto. They just won a championship 2 years ago. Are you retired? That speaks like that's why when I say communication is like 90% nonverbal. It's like what you're communicating to me is like you're just an idiot. You're not a winner. That's what it communicates to you. You're not a winner. Like winners, you're like, let me come to this franchise. I can maybe be the man if you think you are. And I have role players around me. But what does this moron do? He goes to Orlando thinking he has it good. But Cole Anthony's like, hold up, wait a minute. Not so fast, partner. I ain't giving you the keys. Hold up. No. I'm here. No, you're gonna sit behind me. So Cole Anthony's just taking over
that team. Yeah.
Exactly.
Shocking too. I wasn't a big fan of him, but man, he jumped a level this season too.
Yeah, and he got that from his dad. Like if you know Greg Anthony, Greg Anthony's in his ear like, yo, and Greg Anthony knows how this goes. He's like, yo, don't let this guy come in and take it.
He's a running rebel. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Greg Anthony's like, yo, don't let him come in and take that. You make sure you let him know it's your team.
Exactly.
I know for a fact that's what Greg Anthony told him.
Yep.
And I say that I was in there, but I know if you know Greg Anthony from Running Rebel, you know anything about his personality and who he was as a basketball player and being a New York Knick. There's no way Greg Anthony's not telling his son, you're not letting this guy come in here and take your spot. You're the man on this team. You're not going to fall back for this guy. So, and now look at Suggs. Suggs, he's falling back behind Cole Anthony. So, we got the right guy. Masai. In the side we trust. We got the right guy. He knows how to read people. He knows what makes up, the characteristics that make a great basketball player. Right? And, he picks the right guys.
No, absolutely. Because like I said, when you look at Suggs now, and I mean, I don't want to harp on the kid. The season's like 10 games old, basically. We're like, almost a month into the year so far. I don't want to harp on the kid yet. The light switch may go off on him, but like, again, if you ask any Raptors fan right now, would you rather have Suggs right now? Would you rather have Barnes? Like, nobody would listen to you on the Suggs idea. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, too, O'Neil, like, I feel like if he did come to Toronto, say Masai did draft him, right? I feel like Suggs would probably be better off right now. Like, I feel like his career would be a little better right now to start off, just because of the foundation, right? Like, being around.
Yeah, Calvin. Like, you have role players. I as much as I like Van Fleet, I love OG. I like Spin Cycle Siakam, but they're not the one. They're not number ones. They're number threes, maybe number twos, right? Sub, you could be the number one guy. You could have come in and be the scorer, right? And even though OG and those guys aren't mentally built that way. Some guys are just killers. Those guys are not killers. As much as they want to try, and you'll see in the playoffs. Raptors will make the playoffs. You'll see, right? You see how hard, OG's not consistent, right? I tell guys, when I train kids and I coach, to be great, you got to be, greatness means you're consistent all the time, right? And OG wants to be the man, but OG's not consistent, right?
Right.
Fred Van Fleet struggles to score, and Pascal just kept coming back. But these guys are not going to be consistent, right? They're not built. They're not those guys. That's because they're not those guys. And so, maybe Son could have been that guy. He could have come here and have all, free reign to put up shots because Nick Nurse knows that, right? But Nick Nurse also understands that, okay, I don't got a top 5 guy and I don't have a top 10 guy. So what I do have is OG, Fred, and Pascal. I'm going to try and give them as much confidence as possible. And hopefully something happens, but maybe it won't. Hopefully. Right? And they'll give us enough, get us to the playoffs. But yeah, you have a great solid foundation. Raptors have a great. That's why if I was Suns, I would have wanted to come here because you have a great foundation.
Yeah.
Right?
Seriously.
And you could have been the man here.
Great fan base on top of that, too. They're very supportive. Very supportive, especially if you work hard. They're kind of like they don't get the moniker of being like a tough town, but it's a hockey town at the same time, right? And multicultural, lots of West Indians, lots of hardworking, cultural background. So they respect. There's a reason why to this day, like a JYD can still come to the city and get love. There's a reason why guys like Oakley. There's a reason why guys like those hard hat guys can always come here and get love, right? Because the fans, they support somebody who works, right? So somebody like Scottie right now, like even if he leaves here in 2 years, unless he leaves under bad terms, anytime he comes back to Toronto, he's gonna get love. I'm not saying he's gonna leave, but I'm just saying, like in the case of Suggs, like I think he missed that opportunity to do something like that because the Raptors fan base is so supportive and they're so strong and they ride so deep. You go to those Raptors games, like it's. You could feel it in the air when the team is good and when the team is riding hard, right? So, if that's the story and he tanked his workout, like I said, you don't want him here anyway.
No,
you don't want him. You don't want him here anyway. So I think it's like I said again to see where Banton and like I said even with Barnes, like to see where Barnes is at right now, like the sky's the limit, man. Like I said, the roof is removed. It's removed right at this stage because, like I said, just the work that this guy's putting in, I'm like, shit, you can't ask for a better story.
Nope,
you really can't. But we'll wrap this up here. But as always, O'Neil, thank you for hopping on the Ave Podcast. And breaking down the basketball talks with your boy. Appreciate that as always. We'll definitely have you back on again at some point this year and. Closing thoughts on anything ball related, which you want to like plug anything you want to plug, team, squad programs you're coaching. You want to share a last thought on the Warriors, whatever. Like any college, any NCAA D1 players that we should be looking out for this year. Give us a spiel before we go.
Oh, there's enough. Well, very excited. I watched Shamar, Rita Mays. Love that kid. Great kid. He was playing for Youngstown. They were playing against Penn. I think Penn State. I was watching him, but I love this time of year to watch the Canadians.
Where's he playing?
He's at Youngstown.
Youngstown.
State.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm always excited. I have my college basketball schedule up. See all the teams that are playing, so I can flip through and watch all the Canadian kids that are playing. So I'm always excited about that. I'm helping out you play. We're doing made hoops with the 14U, so that's starting soon, and the 16U for regular once AAU season starts in April, and that's really it. But my Golden State Warriors, and then some other teams like I like this season. Like I like the Bulls.
Yeah,
there's so much basketball to talk about. Like I love what's going on, but I'm so excited about the Golden State Warriors. I'm excited about. Clay coming back. I'm looking forward to that.
We could talk for like another hour about the Warriors because I'm equally, if not more, excited about the Warriors right now.
And it's always a great refresher reminder, like the style of play. The Warriors, I said when they took the mantle from the Spurs, the Warriors were a younger version of the Spurs in everything that they do, and they copied their offense and their defense, right? And what was the offense? 0.5. Don't let the ball stick too much. And why is the Warriors hard to guard? Because they're constantly moving.
Yeah,
the guys are constantly moving, right? And that's that's the reason why KD left. Because if you listen to KD, he was like, I get all of that, but sometimes there's you have to have that need for ISO basketball. Like, no, you don't. Just keep moving, and that they're in perpetual motion, and that's why I love watching their offense, right? And so when Clay comes back, you add Clay to that mix.
I know,
right? And I tell people the best thing that ever happened to the Warriors was what happened in the past 2 years. Their young players got to develop.
Yep.
Right. The young players got to. Jordan Poole is playing with confidence. Right. You have Lee, Clay's Steph's brother-in-law's playing. Like, you have all these guys playing with confidence. And Draymond Green, I really started to appreciate Draymond Green because
I know, because you
when
would shit on him every now and again, though. I do remember that.
No, and this is why I'm going to stop. Because when you realize what Draymond Green is, when he's good, he's really good. Like, he's really good. He's like, his basketball IQ is so good that it's amazing. Like, how he's like a point guard that calms things down and gets the ball to the right guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's so good with that. But when he's bad, he's bad. Like, when he checks down, he's just horrible. But with Draymond Green, even if he doesn't shoot, but he understands the game so much, passing, cutting, it's just constant. And their offense does remind me and I love watching European basketball because that's how the offense moves. The ball doesn't stick.
Right.
There's no real ISO. And that's what you have with Draymond Green. It's a constantly, he's orchestrating that offense. And then he plays defense. He's so valuable to that team. And so, I'm excited for the Golden State Warriors, man. Everybody's talking about the Lakers, and you cannot come out LeBron James and the Lakers. That's the dumbest thing to do. But, we got to go. It's getting late. But, you said I'll be here forever talking. So,
yeah.
Wrap it up.
And my last thing really with the Warriors, again, because you're mentioning Clay, and I 1,000% agree with that. And that young bull, that Wiseman kid, like, he hasn't played yet either. Those boards, like, I want to see how he makes that leap. I know he's coming off injury, but I want to see how he fits into all of this as well. Like, I love what's happening in Golden State, but we'll definitely have to talk about this again, at some point, because I don't think the Warriors are going away. So that might be our next topic next time you hop on, would be the Warriors.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you once again for tuning into the Ave Podcast. A special shout out goes out to my guest, O'Neil Kamaka, for coming on to discuss the beginning of the NBA season. Scottie Pippen, man. The young rookies and the next stars of the league and everything else. I'll be back next week with a new episode. And the week after that, I'm going to have a review of the first quarter of the NBA season. So stay tuned for all of it. Now, if you haven't checked out my latest episode on mental health, on my mental health conversation, please do so now. All right, I promise you it's worth the listen. Now, with that said, I appreciate the support of all my shows. Rate, review, and subscribe. Please leave some comments on this one. And check out SouthShoreAve.com for all things South Shore Ave. Once again, that's SouthShoreAve.com. For O'Neil Kamaka, this is Cal C. And you just tuned into the Ave Podcast on South Shore Ave Radio. Until next time, folks, peace. Have a great weekend.